Okay, we have some pretty nice whitetail here. Let's take a couple down. One bullet for you. And one bullet for you. Beautiful. We're back here on the Hunter Call of the Wild, and today we're going to be going over 6 different things that could definitely ruin your grind. With doing any grind, there are lots of intricacies, basically. Things you should do that will help your grind, and things you definitely should not be doing. Today we're going to be going over those things you should not be doing, because you definitely could be sabotaging all of the hard work you're putting into that grind. And that is a nice big one, 245.16, 10 points under diamond. He is a nice one. And our second buck, 162.85. Beautiful shot. We will take it. Now, guys, let me know in the comments if you could have any great one in the game, what great one would that be? And somewhere in the video, I am going to share a key phrase. Drop that in the comments for your chance to win a 1-month membership to the channel. And we are going to head right into it. So the very first thing you want to make sure that you are doing when setting up for any Great One grind, any grind at all actually, it doesn't have to be just for a Great One, is to make sure that you are finding all of your drink zones. Now this isn't for every species in the game. You don't have to worry about finding all of your drink zones when you are doing a grind for any predator. So if you are doing a black bear grind, or a tiger grind, or a lion grind, you don't have to worry about finding all of your drink zones. And why is that? Well, the reason for that is because when you are grinding for any predator, predators have solo zones. And if you don't know what a solo zone is, any animal that is oh, hello. There's my buddy, the level 3. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in a long time. And of course, he only comes out when I don't have the 22 on me. He is a little sneaky one. Holy. I've seen him a few times out here while I'm grinding whitetail, but he never shows up when I am prepared. It's kind of hilarious. But where were we? Solo zones. So a solo zone is a zone where you have only one animal in the zone. When you pick up the need zone indicator, this is a need zone indicator for drinking whitetail. It is going to say 1. That is a solo zone. And anytime you shoot anything that is in a solo zone, that zone is going to delete and it is going to show up somewhere else on your map. It could be in the same place again, and it could be anywhere else where that species drinks or can have a zone, somewhere on its home range. So by not finding all of your drink zones for herd animals, you do need to find all of your drink zones for species like fallow deer, whitetail, just anything that is not a predator. And if you don't, you're going to get inconsistent respawns. Now I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me that will really drive home this point. Let's head over to the fallow grind. Okay, so we are here in Te Awaroa, and this is my fallow grind. Now, a while back, while I was live streaming the fallow grind, I decided to take care of some solo zones on my fallow grind. Now, herd animals can have solo zones. They don't all. Whitetail don't seem to have solo zones, but fallow deer do, red deer do, and they are a bit of a pain in the neck to deal with in the grind. But predators, all of their zones are solo zones. They can have multiple solos sharing a zone, but all of them are solo zones. That's just how the game works. Now, what happened was I decided to take care of some of my solo zones here doing my fallow grind. So what I did, just to prove my point, was I took care of about 3 solo zones during that live stream, but I didn't want to take the time out to go and refine those zones. I was planning to do it after the stream. So I continued doing my grind, and you know what happened? After I did 1 rotation, I set the time back, I left the game and came back, and you know what happened? There was nothing in any of my zones. I went to every single zone on my rotation and nothing had respawned. So I decided, okay, I guess I better go refine those zones. So what I did, I started at this tent and I headed up and around this corner, and I found 3 drink zones. So once I did that, I headed over to this zone right here, and instantly they had respawns there. All of my zones then respawned after I found those 3 zones that I had blown out. They were definitely not going to give me any respawns until I found those zones again. And then after I found them, I had no problems for the rest of the evening. My respawns respawned beautifully after that. I had no problems. So not finding all of your drink zones for herd species is definitely something that will ruin your grind. Which is a pretty nice one. And double splat. Now, if you're wondering how many drink zones you need for each grind, I do have some numbers here for you guys. I don't have every single Great One species for every map that they're on, but I do have the ones that I have done. And 238.48, pretty close to 240. He's scored right at the bottom, but he is still a really nice fallow deer. But for fallow deer here in Te Awaroa, you need between 30 and 35 drink zones. And for that reason, this is the Great One grind that I recommend to people who have never done a grind before, because that is the lowest amount of zones for any Great One grind in the game. And not only are there only 30 to 35 drink zones, but the only place you will find fallow deer drink zones on this entire map is, I'm going to draw a line, basically the bottom half of this lake and then down halfway through, and this little piece right here, that's the only place you're going to find fallow on the entire map, making it a fairly easy grind to manage. Whereas a lot of grinds, for example moose, you can have moose zones anywhere on the map, so there's a lot of searching when you are looking for zones that have deleted. Now, if you're doing a grind for red deer in Te Awaroa, you're going to need about 45 drink zones. Moose in Layton, there are about 110. Moose in Medved, 135 drink zones. Moose in the New England Mountains and in Yukon, over 200 drink zones. That's a lot. Holy. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do I know if I have found all of my drink zones? And that is a very difficult question to answer. And all you can do is, once you feel like you've found them all, you have searched and searched and searched and you can't find any more, what you then want to do, if you are around the recommended number, even if you're a little bit below that and you still feel like you have found them all, then what I would recommend doing is start your grind and see if you get consistent respawns. And if you do, just keep grinding. And if you don't, you gotta head back out and find more zones. Now, I do a lot of spotting. I pick up all the need zone indicators. I listen for mating and warning calls, and I do follow tracks, and all of those things help me to find all of my drink zones. Now, especially with species like fallow deer, whitetail, and red deer, you'll find that they do have a lot of zones, or they can have a lot of zones around one lake. Now, I usually have more than 3 zones at these 2 lakes, but when you do have a lake with many different zones for that one species, I find they don't all come out at the same time. So say there were 5 zones around these 2 lakes. The first time I would come here and spot for zones, I might find 2 or 3. And then the next time I come out here, I might find the last 2. They just seem to come out in stages. So definitely double check a lot of your best areas, because even though you have found zones there, more zones may show up. So I hope that helps you to find all of your drink zones. Now, I wanted to mention that with the tar grind, tar are the only Great One in the game that do not have drink zones. Now, for whatever reason, you do not have to find all of your feed zones in order to do the tar grind. I didn't count any zones. I just found decent feed zones, set up on them, and started shooting, and I never had a problem getting consistent respawns. So if you are doing the tar grind, don't worry about finding all of your zones. It is not necessary. Coming in at number 2 on our list of things that will definitely damage your grind is deleting your need zones. And for that reason, I almost always use tripods when I am doing any grind. Now, whenever you shoot anything and you are not in a hunting structure, you are able to kill 3 animals, and the 4th kill will then delete the zone. And the zone will then show up somewhere else on the map, and you will have to re-find it in order to continue getting consistent respawns. That is definitely going to disrupt your grind, waste a whole pile of time, so you definitely want to be protecting those need zones and shooting from any hunting structure. When you shoot from a hunting structure, you can then kill 15 animals, and the 16th kill will then delete the zone. And no one is going to be killing 16 animals from any zone. You'd need a machine gun, and we just don't have 16 animals in the zone. So let's shoot 2 of these guys, not being in a hunting structure. And when I say hunting structure, you can use any of the hunting structures in the game to give you reduced hunting pressure. You can use tripods, tree stands, duck blinds, even the hunting structures that come on the map, they will all give you reduced hunting pressure. Okay, so I killed 2 bull moose from this zone while not being in a tripod, and I killed 2 from the tripod in this zone here. So that's a direct direct comparison of hunting pressure, and the difference is whether or not you are using a hunting stand. Now, tripods are very expensive. They're 16,000 in-game dollars each. I believe when you purchase the tree stand and tripod DLC, you do get a few of them for free in the DLC, but after that, you do have to purchase them. Now, the nice thing is, when you are done using them in this grind, you can pick them up and move them to any map in the game and use them forever. So that is awesome. Now, if you want to start a grind and you can't afford tripods, definitely start that grind and you will be making cash very quickly. Anytime you're constantly shooting animals and harvesting them, you're going to make cash, and you can slowly add them to your grind as you go. So I would recommend not waiting, start that grind. Just be very careful not to blow out your zones, because then you're going to waste time looking for that new zone that has relocated somewhere else on the map, and that is just going to slow you down. So that is definitely something you don't want to do. You don't want to blow out your need zones. You don't want to delete them. Now guys, if you are enjoying the video so far or learning anything at all, take a sec and splat that like button, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button for more daily Call of the Wild content. And thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Let's continue. Coming in at number 3 on our list of 6 things that will ruin your grind is killing a doe or killing females. Now, this does not apply to every species in the game. Again, this mainly applies to herd animals. It does not apply to predators. It is totally okay to shoot females, especially when you are trying to move males and females between zones. For example, when you're doing the black bear grind, it is totally okay to shoot females. But when you're doing the whitetail grind, and I don't know why my whitetail are completely in the trees. I have never had them this far back before. Very strange. But when you shoot a female and you're doing the whitetail grind, what is going to happen is it is going to wreak havoc on your grind. And I don't know why it does this, but it definitely does it. So what will happen when you accidentally shoot a doe when you are grinding is, for some reason, it causes a whole bunch of zones to randomly spawn into your grind. Now, it doesn't add deer into the game, so what it's actually doing is pulling bucks from your pre-existing zones. So say, for example, I have 3 bucks here. It might pull one of these bucks to go into one of those zones. It might pull 2 of them and leave me with just 1. That's definitely not what I want. I need to have at least 4 animals in each zone, because anytime you shoot a zone down to 1 animal, it is never going to get respawns, and we will talk about that in a little bit. So if you do accidentally shoot a doe, what you want to do is do not harvest it, wait about 5 minutes, and then leave to the main menu and come back. This might prevent those zones from spawning. There's like a 50-50 chance that it could save you from it causing problems in your grind. Now, I don't think it's an issue for fallow deer from what I'm hearing, but it is definitely an issue with whitetail, so be very careful not to shoot those females. So once you do shoot a female, and if it does cause more zones to spawn, if you don't go and find them, you're going to start to get inconsistent respawns, and eventually there is going to be nothing to shoot. So then you're forced to go and re-find those zones until you can continue your grind. So it is going to waste a pile of your time, and it is going to negatively impact your pre-existing zones. So that is why you definitely do not want to shoot does. It's so hard to shoot them when you can't see them. Oh my gosh. I don't even know where he went. Oh, there he is. I got him! I got him! And Splat. Coming in at number 4 on our list of 6 things that will definitely ruin your grind is killing a zone down to 1 animal. Now again, this only applies to herd animals and does not apply to predators. Now when you do shoot a zone down and leave only 1 animal in the zone, that essentially breaks the zone. That zone is never going to get respawns ever again. And so for that reason alone, you don't want to be setting up on zones that have less than 4 animals in that zone. And let me explain why. So you see this zone right here? If this zone had 2 bulls and 1 female in it, I could only shoot one of those bulls. If I were to shoot both of them, I would never get respawns again. So I can only kill 1 here. Now I do usually have 2 bulls in this zone. One of them is not showing up at the moment, and that's okay. Now if you had a zone that has 2 animals in it, you can't shoot any of them. If you shoot both of them, that zone will delete. If you shoot one of them, that zone will never get respawns again. So you can't shoot more than 1 animal from a zone of 3, can't shoot any animals from a zone of 2, and whenever you shoot a zone of 1, that zone will delete. So you are looking for a zone with at least 2 males and 2 females in it. So that is very important. Gonna make this moose go splat. Yes, we got him. And off go his girlfriends. Okay. Now doing the moose grind here in Layton Lakes can be a very tricky grind because I found that 80% of the moose zones are solo zones and there are a lot of zones with only 3 moose in them. So it's very difficult to find really good zones with 2 males and 2 females. But that is what you want to be setting up on. So that's a solo zone right there. He's there in that zone all by himself. Now coming in at number 5 on our list of 6 things that will definitely ruin your grind is setting up on solo zones. There is absolutely no point in setting up on a zone with only 1 animal in it because anytime you shoot at a solo zone, that zone is going to delete. It may come back in the same spot, but there is definitely no guarantee. There's a good chance it is going to relocate somewhere else on the map, so setting up on that solo zone, there's just absolutely no point in doing that. Now, if you would like to know how to shoot down solo zones for your grind, this is what you need to do. On a fresh game startup, I go into the game, I shoot the solo zone that I want to take care of, then I go to one of my main shooting zones, and I shoot the smallest deer that I can find. I don't harvest them, I leave them laying on the ground, and this is the only time I'm ever going to encourage you guys to not pick up your kills. So you leave them on the ground, and then you leave the game and you come back. The reason you do that is because they are going to then respawn at the exact same time, and they have a 50-50 chance of swapping zones. And what you want is for the big solos respawn to jump into your herd zone, and for your respawn from the small deer from your main shooting zone, you want its respawn to then jump into the solo zone. So then once you do that, you can go back to the herd zone that you shot your small deer from and see if you have a big respawn or a small respawn. And if you do have a big one, there is a good chance that the respawns did swap zones. So now all you have to do is go and re-find that solo zone that you blew out. There is just no point in setting up on solo zones, unless of course they are predators. Now predators almost always do come back in the same spot because all predator zones are solo zones. You can have several solo predators sharing one drink zone, but they are still solo animals. Now guys, if you do have questions about any of this, definitely leave them in the comments. I will make sure to go through them and answer as many questions as I possibly can so that we can definitely get more great ones into everybody's lodges. There is no better feeling in the world than when you first spot a great one after working your butt off doing a great one grind. And it worked! There they... Oh my god! There's another great one! Oh my god! Holy crap! There's just no better feeling, and I want this grind to work for you guys, so I will help the best that I can. Now, last but not least, coming in at number 6 on our list of 6 things that will definitely ruin your grind is not harvesting your animals. Now, a lot of people may not know this because it is not posted anywhere, but a while back, I'm pretty sure that EW changed the coding so that if you do not harvest your kills, basically if you're shooting but not picking up your kills, you will still get respawns. You can still spawn lots of diamonds and rares and even super rares, but there is a very slim chance if you are not harvesting your animals that you will spawn a great one. And if you can, it will definitely take you a lot longer. When you are IRL hunting, no one ever shoots an animal and doesn't harvest it, and that is how EW would like us to play the game. I guess not picking up your kills is a bit of a shortcut. I know that time is definitely an issue for a lot of people. They don't have a lot of time time, and they would like to get a great one into their lodge, so I understand why. But if you would like to spawn a great one, you have to harvest your animals. So one way to make that quick and easy is to have pickup tents set up on 8 zones, and then use your other 8 tents, because you can have 16 tents max on any map at any given time. So have a shooting tent and a pickup tent, and then all you have to do is shoot that. That's a nice fallow. Nice big one. And then I have a pickup tent, fast travel over there. Yes, it is going to take more time than just fast traveling to the next zone and shooting, but it isn't going to take a huge amount of time, and you're not leaving a pile of cash literally laying on the ground. So that fellow paid us $800. I am using the 300 to grind with. Had I used the 308, I would have got paid a little bit more, but that is 1 kill closer to spawning a fallow deer great one. I really hope that helps you to put that great one or whatever it is you're grinding for in your lodge. And for more videos just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. If you did enjoy the video, splat that like button, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'm gonna recommend that you watch this video next.